Welcome to my kitchen, and today we are going to be using Philadelphia cooking cream, and we're going to be making salmon in puff pastry with a creamy mustard sauce. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with my salmon. I just went to my local fish counter and in my local grocery store and went ahead and got some fresh salmon. Now I had the butcher actually remove the skin from my salmon, and you can have him do the same, or you can remove it yourself. Alright, there we go. A nice piece of fresh salmon there. Now, I'm going to actually show you how to do this two different ways. We can make it an entree, or you can make these into appetizers. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut a entree-sized piece there, and you want about a 4-ounce piece of skinless salmon there. I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to take the rest of this and I'm going to actually cut it into cubes for an appetizer. There we go. Now, got that all done. It helps a lot to have the skin removed by the butcher, because then you can, cut all the way through. All right. My hands a little bit here. Then you're going to want to go ahead and season both sides of the salmon with some salt and pepper. Got some salt. A little bit of pepper. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to use an herb butter, and we're going to rub the herb butter into our salmon to give it a nice bump of extra flavor. Now I have sage butter here. All I did was I took some chopped sage and I mixed it in with a stick of butter. It's a great way to use up leftover herbs from your garden, or if you buy that bunch of sage and you need a tablespoon of fresh sage for a recipe. Well, then what do you do with the rest of the sage? I just chop it up, mix it into my butter, and then I just pop it in some wax paper and pop it in the freezer, and it's absolutely wonderful. I'm just going to go ahead and rub that in to my salmon here. And then we're going to set that aside. Pop that on there like that. Bits on there. And you can do this, chop it up and get it ready ahead of time. You can rub it with the butter ahead of time, wrap it in some plastic wrap, pop it in the refrigerator until you're ready to use it. If you wanted to do that, that is certainly a possibility. So we're just going to let that sit. I'm going to scoot that to the side here. And hands off again. Definitely want to wash your hands after handling the raw fish. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my puff pastry ready. You're going to want to get a flat surface to work on. You can use wax paper or parchment paper. I just happen to have a cutting board. You're going to want to flour it just a little bit. Keep your puff pastry from sticking. Set it around just a bit. Hopefully I can keep it off my nose. Usually when I work with flour, I end up with it smudged all over. Then you're going to take your puff pastry. Now puff pastry comes, and there's usually, in a box, there's 2 sheets of your puff pastry. So you're going to want to peel those apart carefully. And they come with a little cardboard insert in between them so that they come apart easier. Put this on the side here. And you're just going to want to carefully unroll it. Make sure there are no tears. If you happen to get a tear or a crack, you just dip your finger in some water and spread it on there and press it together, kind of like you would with pie crust. Now, for my entree size piece, I'm going to just go ahead and take my salmon, and I'm going to set it on here, like that. I'm going to trim off, and then I'm just going to wrap it kind of like I would a Christmas package. Just going to fold up the edge like that, and like that, and then fold it over, kind of pinch the edges together so it all seals up. Trim my other edge here. You don't want too much excess dough. Just pop it together like that. Go and make sure you pinch your edges. Pull them under a little bit. And if you wanted to get real fancy, you could use a small cookie cutter and cut out some shapes with some of the leftover puff pastry and place them on top. Brush all the excess flour off here. There we go. And then I'm just going to go ahead and place it onto a parchment-lined baking sheet. And I will put these in the oven. The entree-sized portions will go in the oven at 400 degrees for about 20 to 30 minutes, just until the fish is opaque and sliced with a fork. So I'm going to set that aside. I'll put that in the oven in a few minutes. I'll show you what to do with the little. You do basically the same thing with the little appetizer-sized pieces. You're just going to grab a piece, put some butter on there, trim it up, and wrap it up. Pinch your edges together. Okay, we are back in the kitchen, and we are going to make the creamy mustard sauce for our salmon and puff pastry. Now, we only really need 3 ingredients for this. We need some Dijon mustard. I'm just going to put some of that in a pan. And we need just a tiny little bit of chicken stock to kind of give that, thin that mustard out just a smidgen. Then our main ingredient for this is our Philadelphia cooking cream, the original flavor. You can use the savory garlic in here, but I like the original because it just kind of keeps it that clean mustardy flavor. Put a big dollop of this in there. You're going to use the whole tub when you make the full recipe. I'm only actually making this for 1 today, and I'm also showing you the appetizer size portions. So I'm going to get that all worked up there. We're just going to turn our oven on, our stovetop on to about medium. Whisk that around until it gets to the right consistency. Normally when I make this sauce I have to use butter and flour and things to make a roux, but with this Philadelphia cooking cream, don't need any of that. I just whisk it all together and get it to the consistency I want with a little bit of chicken stock, and I'm good to go. I'm going to add a little bit more here. Now I'm just going to go ahead, and you can see it's all come together very nice. This Philadelphia cooking cream is so smooth and yummy and good flavored. It's easy, it's versatile. You can use it in so many things. Which, speaking of versatile, this sauce is great not only on the puff pastry, but you can use it on pork chops, on chicken breast, anything. So we're just going to go ahead and let this cook up on the stove and get nice and hot and simmer up just a little bit, and then I will plate my salmon and I'll take it in there and I will show you what it looks like all put together. Okay, as you can see, my salmon has come out of the oven. I have my little appetizer bites here. They're just all nice and, they're really kind of finger friendly. And you can do the sauce one of 2 ways. You can either serve it on the side for dipping, or you can go ahead and just take your creamy mustard sauce and drizzle it right over, just in kind of a little drizzle over each of your appetizer bites. It's the same with the entree. Here's your entree portion size. I'm going to cut it open so you can see what it looks like inside. As you can see, the fish is all nice and cooked. The puff pastry is all cooked. It's all nice and hot. And that stays butter. You can smell it. It smells great. You can either have this on the side for dipping, or you can do what I usually do and just go ahead and pour some of the sauce right over the top. And it's an easy presentation, but it's a fancy thing because it's in the puff pastry, and the frozen puff pastry just makes it so very easy. Now I'm going to go ahead and sit down and have a bite of this, and I'm going to enjoy my dinner.